One of my core values is we're sort of client-centric, so we put the client first. If they want us to be flexible around certain things, we'll always accommodate. And I suppose translating that into the staffing side of things, I try and be sort of staff-centric as well. So try and put them first and, what works for them. Although they might have a thing that they have to follow as part of the job requirements, I'll always try to be quite flexible. For example, some of our commercial cleans, it can be, let's say it's any time from 5 p.m. onwards, we can be flexible and say to them, if you've got another job that finishes at 6, 7, you can go after that. Try and make it so that it's based around them and they feel like you're almost doing them a favour by giving them the work, but also there are still those sort of set things in place that they still have to follow. So it does feel like a bit more of a friendly sort of approach without being too personal. I suppose just acting like you're there to help them just as much as they are helping you.
Welcome to the Cleaning Journey podcast, where we talk about the real stories behind building cleaning businesses that actually work. I'm your host, Misael Avalos. I started my business back in 2018 from scratch, and I built it into a 7-figure cleaning company. Now I sit down with other cleaning business owners to share their wins, their losses, their struggles, and their experiences that have helped them grow. Whether you're just getting started or you're already scaling, this is your place to learn, get inspired, and also level up your business and life. Let's jump in.
My name's Megan Johnston and I run ProClean Commercials. We are a cleaning company sort of focused on commercial and biohazard cleaning. So that covers sort of working business to business. And then in the biohazard, we do trauma cleans, decomposition, mold remediation, fire restoration, hoarder cleans, infection control, needle sweeps, all that sort of thing. We've got a team of about 5 to 10 staff that cover sort of each job individually. We sort of go through all through the daytime and evening.
Fun. Do you run your teams you said individually? Are you doing the solo cleaners or team
Yeah,
cleaners?
so we tend to have staff working independently per job. I mean, unless we're on like a biohazard clean or like a big job, maybe like a builder's clean, we'll have a team together. But yeah, most of our staff work independently. Each client has their own cleaner, which they quite like as well because they get to know that person and they have like the same routine. So it works quite well that way.
It does. And if someone calls out, it's a good way to replace that person and that cleaning still gets done.
Exactly.
So Megan, you said you started young in the business. Can you take us back to those early days?
Yeah, so I left school and I went to university. My first intention was to join the police as a police officer. And we're based in the UK. So at the time when I first left school, you had to get a degree to get in. So I went off to university to do a professional policing degree and basically kind of just fell into the cleaning industry. And a lot of people that are in the cleaning industry do kind of go in that way. And my situation is that I didn't want to live in the uni dorms with everyone else. I wanted my own place. And obviously I needed to be able to afford it. So I had about 3 jobs. I was working in a bar. And then I joined like a cleaning agency and I was also doing like Airbnb cleans for someone in my family. So kind of started off that way. And, people said to me eventually, oh, why don't you get your own private clients? The agency that I worked for originally, I just didn't like the way that they ran things and I didn't agree with it. I suppose they were a bit of like a cowboy company. They didn't really do things properly. The staff that they would send out, they'd never met anyone. I personally never had an interview. They just sent me out, didn't tell me like what to get or anything like that. So I kind of saw this need for what I could do better. And the clients were always really happy with my work, just not the management side of things. So it did kind of encourage me to just go and do my own thing. Slowly started picking up clients and had a few sort of private clients until it just got really big really quickly. I never intended for it to. And obviously I was doing my degree as well. So I kind of got to the point where it was like, finish the degree and join the police, work all hours of the nights doing night shift, try and carry on with the business at the same time realistically isn't going to work and probably make less money as well without that sort of growth that you can have when you're self-employed. So yeah, I kind of just went down that route, ended up sacking off my career, my degree, didn't finish it, and just put everything into the business. And it kind of just went up from there. And it's just become just like a driving force where I put my everything into it. And it almost, I think people say it's kind of like your baby, isn't it? It's like part of you. So yeah, I'm always working on it. I'm always thinking of ways to make it bigger, better, and grow more. And kind of more recently, looking at what maybe necessarily hasn't gone well and what I can do to change that and be better. So, for example, recently we've just taken on a new business partner. I kind of got to the point where I could recognize a lot of things that I maybe wasn't necessarily good at and just needed some help. I think it's hard when you're trying to do everything yourself, isn't it? And naturally, no one's perfect and no one's good at everything. So it does make sense to bring someone in. And people were telling me that for years. And I was a bit like, no, I want to do it on my own. You know, making steps like that as well has really changed things. And we're definitely doing so much better now. And it's just nice to have a second opinion and two people working on the business rather than one.
Yeah, it's a very lonely road to have to building a baby that you care so much about. And it is having all of these hats, right? Wearing all of them. It can get a little bit overwhelming, especially in the beginning. Was business ever in your radar? Is that something that you wanted to get into when you were younger? Did you have any influence in entrepreneurship in your life?
Not at all. I never chose business as like an option at school. It wasn't something I was interested at all. I always was very driven and I definitely wanted to do well. And I was very set on the policing thing ever since I was younger. I saw myself working all the way up in the police and things like that. And I suppose it was just once I got a taste of self employment and working for myself, I knew that there was more opportunity to achieve what I wanted to down that route rather than an employed one. And I think my main issue was I very much feel like when you're in an employed job, sometimes it is a bit of luck, like who your manager is. Is it someone that you get on with? Is it someone who's going to recognize how hard you're working to get that promotion? And it's very dependent on someone else rather than how much you can do. I really like the responsibility of you get out what you put in. So if I'm feeling a bit lazy one week and I'm not doing something, I'm willing to take the responsibility that things will slack and I'll fall behind. And on the other hand of things, if I'm going to put everything into it and get good things out of it, I'm happy with that result as well.
Yeah, it's definitely up to us to make the effort and get motivated and get to work, right? We got to wake up every day and continue doing it. What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned in early on?
I think maybe because I didn't intentionally go into wanting a business, there was no sort of structure, also no support. I was kind of just winging it. And, because I very easily picked up the clients and very easily made money quite quickly, there wasn't much, like seriousness behind it. I kind of thought I could get away with doing it a bit loosely. It felt like more of a side hustle than something that was sort of a planned route. So, for example, I didn't have an accountant for a couple of years, got myself in a bit of a situation with that. I suppose staffing wise, maybe not having the experience to take on staff, what to look for, the interviews, how to manage them. I ended up just taking on loads of friends that I had at the time. And then that became a bit awkward because they were slightly maybe disrespectful in some ways. And then because I didn't want to ruin that friendship, I didn't speak up. And I suppose in some ways, I could have got a bad name for some of the things that was going on. So, yeah, that was one as well. I think in general, just not having any structure. I knew that I wanted to do well, but I wasn't necessarily sure how I was going to get there or things like that. So going back to again having a business partner, it really helps because we have meetings like once a week and we sit down and plan, where we're going to go from here. I think when you're on your own, it's kind of just passing thoughts that you have, rather than sitting down, writing it, making sure you get it done. Because again, you just feel so overwhelmed with everything you're doing. There's no sort of structure in place. So, yeah, quite a lot. Again, I was kind of just winging it, literally just going in and, doing what I could rather than really thinking about it.
I think that's how we all start. I thought about when you said the winging it part and just kind of doing things that we feel at that time is the best decision to make. Like just going back to my early days, I was just thinking of the late nights and trying to put things together and just trying to figure it out. And we see this outcome that we would like to receive, but sometimes it seems so far. It seems like it's going to take so much time and effort to get there. It can feel discouraged. What were those times that like you felt like you wanted to quit? Like take us back to those days. Like what if you ever wanted to feel like you wanted to quit? I think it's the normal feeling that we all feel, but did you want to quit and what kept you motivated?
Hey, Real quick, do me a solid. Just like, subscribe, and share with another cleaning business owner. We want to grow this community together because when we all learn together, the industry becomes stronger. Let's get back to our guest.
Yeah, many, many times. And I actually watched one of your little clips where you mentioned about if you're someone who is obviously you are really emotionally invested in your business because you care about it. But if, little things affect you and you get really down, is business right for you? And I said that to myself so many times. I'm such like an emotional person. I care about the business so much. If something goes wrong and I get really personally affected by it, is it right for me? So I've definitely learned along the years to just sort of deal with things, approach them in a more calm way. I suppose if something maybe goes wrong, like you get a complaint, things like that can just really demotivate you. And sometimes it might be things to do with staffing. You couldn't have done it any differently. You've given this person the best experience they could have with you working for you, and they still go and do something that can tarnish your name or let you down. And I think sometimes you've just got to remember that as long as you're trying your best, there's always going to be things that come up, but it's not worth investing too much time in it and getting upset. So yeah, like many things happened with me. For example, not having an accountant. I basically was advised that I should have registered for VAT ages ago and didn't realise. So the situation is that I was thinking I was going to have to pay back, a year's worth of VAT from my own expense because I wasn't charging it to the clients. Things like that. Whereas if I just had a bit of structure and maybe, went out and got advice, invested in services, I did a lot of making money and drawing it back out. Maybe that was from being young, where I didn't necessarily understand that you're meant to put money back into the business and these sort of things. Times like that where things just feel like they're falling down and crashing down on you, and you just don't really know where to go from there. But yeah, there's been many times where I just thought, am I cut out for this, or is there another job out there that I'd be happier in? Because the strain of carrying a business on your shoulders is a lot. Yeah, you just want to always do your best. So when things don't go as planned, it can be really hard.
You nailed it on there on that, Megan. We could get discouraged based on things that are thrown at us, right? Like there's so many things that there's employees, there's customers, there's us, right? Our
Mm.
we can get into our head, and um, it's important for us to take those things as a opportunity to get feedback, an
Mhm.
opportunity to learn from it, and be able to either maybe change a system, change a process, and do things differently so that we can start getting different results. I mention it as a you don't want to get into the soup. You don't want to soup things up and stir things up in your head and kind of simmer and stay there for days and stay there for weeks thinking about what happened to you in business, that angry customer that got, that left you a bad review or cursed you over the phone, or even that employee that stole from a client. Now you have to deal with that. Like, those things will happen. Hopefully they don't happen often. I mean, but it's just people are people. But it's important for us to not simmer in those things. It's important to just learn from it and then move forward, because we are the bottleneck of the business, and our people see that, right? They see the way that we talk, they see the way that we feel, and they need to feel confident knowing that you have their back. You're going to keep pushing this business forward.
Mhm.
Looking back at those early days, what was something that you wish you would have known when you started?
I think there's a lot more that I would have known if I'd maybe gone, and I really do recommend investing in like whether it's like courses or like a membership with like a growth team, or just some like even listening to podcasts, some sort of resource that can give you a bit of like community behind you and things like that. I didn't really have that as such. So like I said, I was just winging it and making all of these mistakes, and unfortunately I learned the hard way for a lot of things. But yeah, just having that sort of support and I think a bit of direction. For example, I've got like a membership with like a growth team. We get like 3 calls a week. And I just know that if anything goes wrong, or if there's anything I'm unsure about, I can always ask them, or I can always ask the other people, the other members on the call. And just having that support, even if they don't know exactly what to do, or it's something that no one's ever heard of before, you've still got that support behind you to feel like you can deal with it head on. I think when you're literally on your own, just going in with no sort of knowledge, it does just feel really overwhelming. And I think that's the main thing for me. I get really overwhelmed quite quickly. And like you said, you've got all these hats on, you're trying to do different things, you're trying to be perfect in every sort of area of the business when it might not be your strong point. You might have started your business because you're really good at cleaning, but that doesn't mean you know anything about accounting and you can't be expected to know all these things. So, yeah, I think it's just about sort of using resources and the people around you.
Mentorship, a community, very, very important, big part of my growth personally, being able to be mentored by the best people in the space, learning from them. There's no way that I would have gotten here if it wasn't for the mentorship that I took at those times that I needed. Because it's you don't want to be hitting potholes, every other week or potholes every other month. It's we want to be able to learn how to get around them so that we could really focus on what's important and be able to work efficiently
Mhm.
than trying to do everything perfect and try to do things ourselves. How do you think since you started young, how old were you?
So I'm 23 now and I started when I was 19.
Okay. So 19 years old. How do you think starting young shaped your mindset and work ethics today?
I think, not to sound big headed, but I think sometimes I was a bit of an exception. I think there's a lot of younger people who aren't willing to work very hard. And I think a lot of my clients saw that and quite liked that. I think I got both ends of the spectrum, really. I got some judgment. I think a lot of people probably thought, she's not experienced. Why would I, pay her rates? Why would I listen to her sort of thing? But yeah, I think it worked to my advantage. For example, I'm quite good at the social media side of things, marketing, because I grew up posting things on Instagram and making my feed look nice. So that is a strong point for me. And I think as well, when you're young, people want a cleaner who's quite fit and healthy as well and has the metabolism to do the hard work. I've had clients before who have had maybe slightly older people and they weren't quite as quick or up to speed. So I think people do like that in the young side of things. And if someone can create a business that's quite good at a young age, then what does that say about what they're capable of down the line?
Yeah, for sure. It's I mean, starting 19, I was going into the military at that time. So I
Wow.
couldn't imagine starting a business. I was so irresponsible at 19 that starting a business at that time, it wouldn't have been a good thing. But how they say, my family says that women are just more mature. They're just smarter at a young age. And I completely believe that. I have a daughter and she's just the smartest thing and just more mature. Us men, we needed that. We needed a smart woman, just women's maturity to make us mature in some way. But in business, it's definitely important to be able to show up and do what you need to do. Because yeah, being 19, and dealing with customers that much
Mm.
older than you, um, especially depending on how they grew up, looking at someone at a younger age, they can see you in a certain way and treat you in a certain way.
Yeah, and I think, don't get me wrong as well, I look back on those days when I did first start. I was very driven, I did take it seriously. But again, the lifestyle, I was funding a lifestyle of working hard all through the week with, I'd work with my friend as a pair. We'd go out and do the cleans together, but we would work just to have that like drinking weekend. We'd be going to Ibiza and things like that. So, it does go to show your age. And I was drinking a lot back then where I was so young. And come Monday morning, maybe I wouldn't have been replying to messages. I couldn't face my phone because of the anxiety. So it does go to show in your younger years how you don't have the same sort of sense of maturity that you do at this age. And I don't drink now at all. I cannot run a business where I had that lifestyle before. So I take it a lot more seriously now.
Good for you. Good for
Thank
you.
you.
It's poison, right?
Mm.
And I say that with I used to be an alcoholic back in the day in, military and just being around alcohol and being around, I've had some big traumatic experiences in my life that led me to numb myself through drinking. And, I decided to be completely sober. It was something that I needed to let go of my life because things like that, like I'm a business owner. can't
Mhm.
be hungover. I can't
Yeah.
be focusing on what I'm going to do this weekend versus maybe resting and focusing in the project at home. I'm married. I have two kids. Like, I have to take care of my family. I don't want to give the perspective that that's the type of man that I am. I'm a godly man. I believe in values and integrity, and I can't be focused on, getting tempted,
Mm.
going out into clubs or going out to bars and be drinking. That's just that just messes with your mind. So it's very important that anybody that does have a business, that they are as sober as possible if they want to take their business seriously, because everything relies on you. And if we're hungover, if we are not able to do business, but we have these big dreams, all we're going to do is we're going to be hard on ourselves. The fact that we're not able to do these things because we're hungover or we're not in a right state of mind. Like, it's just a lose lose. Not only are you influenced by alcohol, but and then you're hard on yourself because you didn't work or you didn't really perform like you wanted to, and then it takes you time to recover. It's just a really downhill type of lifestyle. So if you're anybody that's listening, if you're a drinker, like, the best decision you can do is just not drink and really focus on what values you truly want in your life, especially if it's growing a business, because it just would be impossible for you to get the results that you want to get if you are being influenced by um, numbing yourself with things that are not for you at that time. I just wanted to share that because it was a huge part of my life, and I just look back and I'm just like, man, I wasted so much time. So much.
I didn't even know this about you beforehand, so it's really funny that you said this. But I like fully admit that I'm an alcoholic as well, and I go to AA, and that is what changed my life. It's been huge for my business, and when I look back on my life back then, I just cannot believe that the life that I was living, and I had no idea that there is this life in the future that is so amazing, and all these people who share the same experiences, who are just, yeah, they found like a solution to their problem. That's what they say, isn't it? And yeah, it's life changing. And if you are in business and you do have issues with drinking, God, it's a game changer in what you can achieve. The things that we've achieved since then, if you put it on paper and wrote down what was going on back then compared to now, it speaks for itself.
Most definitely, it does. It does, and I'm happy to hear that you are a young person. I mean, 23 are young. I'm 37. So
Mhm.
I've been drinking since I was 15, and it got really bad around, I would say, 20, 23, 24 is where it really started getting. Then 29, 20, 25, 26, where it was really, really bad. You're young, and the fact that you see life differently based on the results that you got, and you decided to make that decision and stick to that decision, that's really good. It's really good. It means that you have a good head on your shoulders. You're gonna accomplish so much in your life, especially if you know how to quickly adjust. And yeah, that's amazing. Good for you on that. And I
Thank
and
you.
I pray that you continue to stay on that road, and continue to stay focused on the end goal of what you're trying to achieve with your business, and not get distracted by the loud noise, the social media, the nightlife stuff. I can share that, I made dozens and dozens of great friends when I was younger. I talk to like two of them now. Those people are in certain seasons. So also too, if you're, getting influenced by people to do things that are not aligned with what the type of results you want to get, that's also a downhill road. So I just want to give you praise for that, because it's something very, very, very important that you're doing. And I'm sure you see it, but in my perspective, in the later years, because you guys are, how many years in business have you been?
4.5.
4.5. Okay. Like, you're looking at 10, 15, 20 years ahead. Like, you're just going to be so much further ahead, because you know how to adjust based on mistakes, and you know how to adjust based on what you truly want to do for your business. So leadership, that is part of leadership. You're leading yourself to become better. be the type of leader for your business. How do you lead your team now compared to when you first started?
Are you uncertain about what you're doing in your cleaning business that's not taking you to the next level? Or you might feel like what you're doing is not the right things. It is okay. That's why I'm here. I help cleaning business owners just like you get the right answers, put good systems and processes to grow your business with confidence. Without confidence, you cannot be a business owner and lead your people. Click the link down below to schedule a free call. We'll talk all business and I can give you the right steps for you to take to give you that confidence back. I cannot wait to connect with you.
I think I'm a lot more compassionate now. I think maybe when I first started managing and taking on staff, the business was built based on my standards and the work that I'd been doing for these clients that they were so happy with. And I, had a lot of faith in the work that I was doing. I think maybe I didn't have that understanding when I first started taking people on that naturally they're not going to be to the same level that I was. People do call in sick and things like that. They don't care as much as you do. And, my automatic response is, why are they not doing it properly? Why are they not showing up, sort of thing? Maybe not having the compassion to understand that actually when I was in employed jobs, I didn't really care. Taking them through that process of actually, you're not performing that well. Is there something we can do? Can we work together? Can I offer you any more training? That sort of thing, rather than thinking the worst of them and, getting really angry and caught up about it. Looking along the line. And the team I've got now are really good. I don't know if it is definitely maybe my way of approaching things, or maybe it's maybe just how I recruit. I know what to look out for. Definitely my tolerance now to people that mess me around is not the same as it was. I used to give people so many chances. And then they'd wonder why I blow up and explode because I would, I was quite non-confrontational, so I wouldn't like to upset people. But then it would just get to the point where someone had just absolutely annoyed me, and then I'd just go a bit nuts at them. So yeah, I've definitely learned that along the way. If you have someone new that shows up for a trial and they don't show up on the first time or the second time, you're not going to carry on with them, are you? But I suppose maybe in those days you feel a bit desperate, don't really know what you're doing, so you give them a lot of chances. I definitely know now what to look out for, and that might be why we have a lot more solid team.
Yeah, people will let you down, especially if there's no structure in how you hire and how you keep them accountable uh, through their journey of working with you. Like, without structure and accountability, people will just step on you. They're just gonna right. They're going through their own lives. They're going their own beliefs, the way they grew up. Their habits are gonna trigger on into your business, trickle on into your business. So it's important for us business owners to find those accountabilities and really keep them accountable. Because yeah, I'm with you. Like I used to be the nice guy. Like I wanted people, I knew how hard it was to find people that wanted to clean. So I was just really nice and I wanted to keep them. But I had to reset my company twice. Okay. And when I say that, I say I had 10 people. I had to pretty much fire 80% of them and then start again. And
Wow.
then I made the bad decisions again, and then I had to fire. I think at that time I fired like 50% of them, and then I had to start again. And that was by not having core values and by not keeping people accountable. What values guide your leadership now? And like, what are those core values for your business?
So, interestingly, one of my core values is we're sort of client-centric. So, we put the client first. If they want us to be flexible around certain things, we'll always accommodate. And I suppose, translating that into the staffing side of things, I try and be sort of staff-centric as well. So, try and put them first and, what works for them. Although they might have like a set thing that they have to follow as part of the job requirements, I'll always try to be quite flexible if that, for example, some of our commercial cleans, it can be, let's say it's any time from 5 p.m. onwards, we can be flexible and say to them, if you've got another job that finishes at 6, 7, you can go after that. Try and make it so that it's based around them and they feel like you're almost doing them a favor by giving them the work, but also there are still those sort of set things in place that they, still have to follow. So it does feel like a bit more of a friendly sort of approach without being too personal. But I suppose, yeah, just acting like you're there to help them as just as much as they are helping you.
Correct. Yeah, it's a team effort. We're here to grow together, and your efforts is going to help the rest of the vehicle move forward to the type of results we're trying to get, right? Like the only way to give you more work is if you show up. The only way I can give you more work is if I show up. And values are extremely important in how we should structure our business. I don't believe there is a business out there that is truly successful, and what I mean successful, I guess in our industry, is being able to be a seven-figure cleaning business without values. I would say it's nearly impossible. And the values should come from the business owner. And these are values that you want your team to be able to implement on a daily while they're working with a team member, while they're in a client's home. These are values that they need to pretty much tattoo on their work personality. I don't know. I mean, these values also help in their personal life, but values are how we hold our company accountable. I hire based on values. I fire based on values. I pay based on values, and it's just so easy to keep the structure and the accountability together when you have solid core values that your company is truly empowering so that we could serve our community.
I think it's almost like an extension of your personality, isn't it? Is things that are important to you and you carry them with you. And I think, yeah, when your clients interact with you or your staff, it should be something that they feel you are like as a person.
Yes, yes. Core values are that's a really good point. When we build core values, they're core values based on us as business owners, not build values based on your current team. Okay. Because that was a mistake that I did. I started building my company around the current people that I had, what they like, what type of system or process they would feel comfortable with, what values I thought that they would like to have. And that was it is a complete mistake. We have to build a business based on what we want, what structure we want to have, and then we hire people based on that structure. It's the same thing with values. The values that we have is be kind, be helpful, and do what you say. Kindness for me is very, very important. I show kindness to everybody that I meet. Be helpful. I'm as helpful as I possibly can here at home, with my family, with my team. I'm helpful to myself, knowing that there's certain things that are not good for me. So I don't put them in my life. And then doing what you say, it's very important to me because I didn't have it when I was young, is being reliable. I wouldn't show up to jobs. I will have a job for a week and then I would just quit, or I would just show up late. So reliability to me is very important. So that's our third core value. Do what you say. So the values need to be based on need to be based on what's important to us. And then we bring the people that are our community, our people, and say, oh, okay, you value this as well too. And you know that based on the interview questions that we ask, if they are a good fit for those core values. And once we hired like that, I mean, we grew from, I think, 12 people to 24 people within months because we had a better hiring process. Maybe not months. I guess when I say months, it's maybe like 6 to 8 months. But it's very important for us to do that. So I'm glad you pointed that out because yes, it needs to be based on what we value, not what your teams value or your customers value, right?
Yeah.
Because one of our values was attention to detail. But what does that even mean? What is it? Or quality, right? Like excellence and quality. I've heard this. I've heard cleaning owners say that. It's like excellence and quality. Well, what does that mean? It could be very confusing to your team if they don't know what excellence means for your company or even what you mean by quality. And then a customer is going to reflect excellence quality as perfection. So does that value really hold like the meat, like to be able to understand it and be able to implement it? Like again, be kind, very simple. Be helpful. Be helpful. Like if you know that your team member is falling behind, be helpful. Help them out. If you know a client is maybe they have some grocery bags that they're putting inside of the house, go be helpful. help them take the groceries bags in, like, and then to do what you say. Like, if you say you're going to follow these core values, follow them. If you say you're going to show up on time, do that. If you say you're going to follow our systems and processes, do that. Do what you say, because you signed the employee agreement, and that employee agreement says at the bottom, I will follow our third core value, which is do what you say. So these things help me do evaluations, and also just correcting our team members when there's something that's not being followed through, and say, hey, remember when you sign our employee agreement, what did it say at the bottom? That you were going to do what you say. And it's so much easier for us to have accountability in our business when we do things like that, and then we could teach our staff to keep each other accountable. So like, as a business owner, I work at the moment, I think I'm working 15 hours a week, and that's because I want to, but I have the right people in place that are just embodying these core values, to where I give them systems and I say, hey, when they don't follow this core value, follow this system here. And it's just so much easier to implement. I know I went on a little rant there, but it's honestly the most important thing. It's the foundation of the business. And yeah, as you can see, I'm very passionate about it, because I lost a lot of time, and I lost a lot of good people because I started building my business around them. And that was such a huge, huge, huge mistake.
And it's made me think, actually, do my staff know, I know what our core values are, but do they know? And, if I was to actually say to them, what are our core values, would they be able to tell me? And I think sometimes when you go through the processes, for example, you do the interview and you explain a bit about you as a company, how often do you actually revisit that? I think sometimes with our staff, maybe where they work independently and they get so used to the job they've been doing, maybe they've been doing it for over 6 months, we don't necessarily need to have team meetings to update them with things if they're getting on well with their job and we've got high audit scores. But actually going back to that, what you said, I think that's something that I could benefit from more by implementing that with the staff a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good reminder. The performance that we want from cleaners is like a nice little wave. It needs to be a wave. Like, they're gonna have their great days, they're gonna have their bad days. It's just is. What we don't want is for them to be an incline down. And how the only way to keep employees at a good wave is by constantly meeting with them, at minimum once a month, having a team meeting, and then you can give the feedback based on what your customers have been giving you. If there's a complaint, be talking about that complaint. Hey, we got a complaint, this month about, the toilets not being cleaned properly. Let's discuss if, who wants to, talk about, maybe get your best cleaner. Hey, so and so, like, walk us through the steps of cleaning a toilet properly. Like, we need to get on the same page about things, because if there's no accountability, and like what you just said, like, you can kind of just feel comfortable knowing that, well, no, like, so and so has been doing it for X amount of months. She's fine. There's no complaints and stuff like that. So we're just going to leave her alone. That is a big no-no. They need to constantly feel like they're getting supported and being reminded, because they will forget. They'll start doing things how they want to do it. It just naturally happens that way. So it's a constant reminder of, okay, this is our standard cleaning. What's included in our standard cleaning, and have your team being involved into that. What's the most important part in our cleaning system, and having people say those things out loud as a team, because again, they will start. I'm telling you, I have 24 employees. They will start going, doing things differently that are not part of your system, because you kind of just let them do whatever they want.
Mm.
There needs to be consistency in, this is what we do. Yes, the core values. Hey, what's our first core value? And then they raise their hand. Okay, perfect. Why is that core value important to you? And have them speak these things out loud, and know that that is what's going to happen in the meetings. Misa's going to come in, and Misa's going to point stuff out. So we got to know our stuff. And if you don't know your stuff, I'm going to point you out right then and there too. And then we're going to keep you accountable, so that you don't forget these things, because um, we need high performers, and we just can't be having people that want to implement their own habits, their own beliefs into my business. That's not going to work for us and the results that we're trying to get. I'm on a rant today. I'm on a rant today.
That's the thing. When you
And
start talking about things you're passionate about, like your business, you could go on for ages.
for sure, for sure. Especially if I felt that, I felt so much pain losing that many people and having to pause my business because I needed to hire again and we needed to train again. And there was a lot of money that was lost because of it. So, yeah, it's very important that we have team meetings for sure. I wanted to get into a little bit in the marketing side. You've said that we're before our conversation that marketing is something that you're confident in, something that maybe you take on more responsibility in your business. You know, help us out with some strategies that has helped your business stand out.
The Cleaning Journey podcast is brought to you by Jobber, the all-in-one CRM built for service pros. From scheduling and payments to quoting and marketing, Jobber makes it simple to manage your business and impress your clients. I use it every day, and it's one of the biggest reasons my business runs smoothly. Try Jobber today with the link in the description down below. Try Jobber today by using the link down below. You can get 14 days free, then 20% off for the next 6 months. You have nothing to lose.
So I never thought I was a creative person really, but it's more when I took a step back and started working on the business in the office that I really got into doing like the social media, like posting regularly, that sort of thing. And I really, really enjoyed it. And again, going back to my sort of personal story with the whole age thing, whenever I went to do networking events or things like that, people really took a shine to my story and how I started. Women who were maybe like my parents' age coming up to me saying, I can't even imagine my son or daughter doing that, and asking me all these questions, things about that. So I kind of saw that as an opportunity to really use my age to my advantage with, how good I am at doing the social media, making videos, things like that. It was never really my strong point doing like TikTok and things like that. So I kind of had to learn. But I think you can very quickly pick up what's trending, what looks good. And those are just things that I really looked into as well. I suppose like looking at people who are in the industry who are doing well, seeing how they attract their audience. So if you've got like a business mentor or someone like that, how are they drawing you into work for them? How can you help your clients in the same way, or people who are just scrolling on social media? How are you going to attract them to look at your video that's going to be interesting? So yeah, that side of things that I think I'm quite good at, and I actually enjoy doing it as well. Any chance I get, whether we're at a job or we've got a new contract, the first thing I'm thinking of is, can we get their permission to use photos on this job and post it? And just knowing what you can put out there that's going to bring people in and make them interested. I just find that there's so much out there. There's so many different ideas you can do. People have like content calendars, don't they, where they plan what they're going to post. And it can be overwhelming it is kind of like a full-time job on top of everything else you're doing. But it's where people see what you do, and it's almost like your portfolio, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, for sure. I'm a true believer that every business needs to just dump content on the internet, whether you like it or not. It doesn't need to be something that you're just so in love with what you created, right? We do have the fear of public speaking, so it's technically kind of public speaking with hundreds of people on the internet when you do a video. But yeah, it's important that we just dump a lot of content into the internet, because it does have a snowball effect in the future. So that the biggest thing is we want the platforms like Google, YouTube, Meta to understand that, hey, we're a trusted company, that we have all of these keywords, all of these types of videos that are involved in our business. And then that is part of SEO. SEO is that's a whole different thing that I think I should just not get into. But dumping content on the internet is going to help the SEO with getting your business found a lot easier. So I want to challenge you to something. And I haven't done this on a podcast yet, but I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it myself.
Okay.
So see, maybe if you challenge you, since we're sharing our story of how we started our business, let's do a video on our business account. A video, maybe 1, 2, you can do up to three minutes on a reel on Instagram. So maybe do like a minute 2 minutes on your business journey, how you got started. If you don't have that video on your social media, and this obviously anybody can do this, but I would recommend to do it is yeah, just share your business journey on your social media, get your people in front of, the people that are following you, get to know a little bit about who you are. And I think that that's going to be a powerful video to kind of just set up your content to be more personable, and then do more content that is just you on the phone so that you can get more of that personal experience on your page, instead of like I'm not a fan of like just static ads that are just like just plain things. Like we need to get the juice of what we know about our business out into our social media, and people want to hear personable, personal. I mean, personal as you want to get, but be more personable on social media. So I challenge you to throw a video out there just with your phone. Hey, my name is Misael. I started the cleaning business, as you many know, X, Y, and Z, and just talk a little bit about what you've learned in business. You want to take that challenge?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna look at your social media within the next 4 hours, and I'm gonna be one of the first to comment.
I think I've already got one similar, and it's actually one of my pinned posts because I think it is. If you're going to look at someone's page for the first time, you're not going to look at a fact about, I don't know how much bacteria is on a surface or something like that. It's a bit boring. The first thing they're going to look at is who's running this business. Why are they doing it? You're going to click on the picture of someone's face rather than a picture of a spray bottle or something like that. So yeah, that's actually one of my pinned posts, and I regularly do those posts as well because you get new followers, and then people think, oh, okay, I didn't know what she looked like or what she's about. So yeah, people connect with people, don't they, rather than facts.
Yes, yes, and please forgive me. I do my research pretty well before I get into the podcast, and today I didn't get to look at your
Okay.
Instagram, so I should have known that. But it's how long ago was that video?
I reckon a month ago. It's quite recent.
Month ago. Very
Yeah.
recent. Okay, cool. Well, you're good then. I will do the video myself, and then I'll share it with
Yeah.
you so that you can give me some feedback on it.
Cool.
And then I want to end the things with some lessons and advice. I know we've talked a lot about that, but if you can go back, I think this is a very powerful question that we should ask ourselves in the journey of life that we live. Going back to that younger self, right? Like if we can give advice to that younger self when we were just starting out in business, what would you say? What would you say to that 19-year-old Megan?
I'd say that confidence is a big thing, and I wasn't very confident because I had no plan or structure, and it wasn't my intention to start. I didn't have the confidence. I shied away from things that felt out of reach. Whereas now I'd say every day I try and do something to put myself out of my comfort zone. Some of the things that would be people's worst nightmare are things that I'm trying to push myself to do because I know in the long run it will be good for the business and getting my name out there. So yeah, kind of just have a bit of faith in yourself, and you started this business for a reason because you're good at what you do. So there's absolutely no reason why you can't, do the things that you're scared of. Whether it's like networking and things like that, that's probably one of the things for me, going to like a new networking group where I don't know anyone and I'm most definitely going to be the youngest person in the room. I will very happily cancel on that sort of thing. If no one knows that I'm going to be showing up, I think, oh, they're not going to know if I don't show up. But it's those sort of things, once you do it, you feel comfortable, you can go every week. You're guaranteed to get more work if you're showing up to the same event every time. Public speaking, I actually reached out to the schools that I went to when I was younger. Got an email back within half an hour from one of them saying, we'd love to have you in as like a motivational speaker to our students. What a coincidence. We were talking about that today. So, things like that are absolutely terrifying, but I just make myself do it because what impact is that going to have on my business? People are going to be talking about it, going to be able to post about it that we went and did that. Again, I had someone reach out from like a journalist because they saw the Biohazard post that we did. It's the first job we've ever done, not expecting that to happen, but someone's reached out and said that they want to do like an interview of us and post about it, things like that usually I would shy away from. Like, you think, oh, I don't want thousands of people to see my face in the Echo and the jobs that I'm doing. But what impact is that going to have on the business? You just got to think of it from your business perspective rather than your personal sort of inner fears.
Yes, most definitely. especially if the business that you're trying to build is a big one, right? Depends on what big means to each individual. But if you're really trying to hit the higher numbers and hit those consistently, then yes, all of these things are very important. You gotta eliminate as much as possible any type of fear that you have of being in front of people because, yeah, networking is extremely important, and being able to put yourself out there is also important. So I think that's some great advice to your younger self is get confident. And the only way you get confident is by doing things that you're uncomfortable and just doing them more. I had some sweaty hands the first networking group that I went to. Sweaty hands. And it was just so nerve-wracking and so embarrassing because you obviously have to shake their hands. And that happened for months. I would say after month 4 or 5, I started getting really comfortable, started really knowing the trend of like how the networking groups go and things like that, what to do, what not to do. And I could have stopped. Could have stopped going to networking events, and I could have said, "Well, my hands are just sweaty, so it's embarrassing, and I'm not going to do that." Could have said that, which it was embarrassing, but I could have said that I could have allowed that to stop me from doing those things, and I most definitely wouldn't be in the situation where I am in my business now because networking was a huge part of my growth. And so it's important for us to put those fears aside and, like you said, gain that confidence to be able to put yourself out there because you have a reason, because you have a why, right? If that why is not strong enough, then you're not going to do these things. You're just going to feed the fear instead of feeding the confidence,
It only holds
right?
you back, doesn't it?
Holds you back. 2 years go by, 3 years go by, and the one question we don't want to ask ourselves is what if? What if I just would have done
Mm,
these things? Right? Like,
yeah.
what if? Right. And then it's so easy to be like, man, if I just would have been doing that 2 years ago, my business would have been different. I would have been a different person. And it's like, no, you should not want to feed into the word of what if.
Hmm.
Never. You should never want to be in your deathbed and then say, "Oh man, what if I would have skydived? What if I would have done these things that I really wanted to do, but I put other things more important?" Like, so yeah, don't feed the what if, dominate it through confidence. And I'm with you, Megan. Confidence truly, truly creates action and really gives you the opportunity to do some big things. God has
Hmm.
big plans for us, and we can't do that if we're not confident.
Are you uncertain about what you're doing in your cleaning business that's not taking you to the next level? Or you might feel like what you're doing is not the right things. It is okay. That's why I'm here. I help cleaning business owners just like you get the right answers, put good systems and processes to grow your business with confidence. Without confidence, you cannot be a business owner and lead your people. Click the link down below to schedule a free call. We'll talk all business and I can give you the right steps for you to take to give you that confidence back. I cannot wait to connect with you.
So we're gonna get into a rapid fire round. I'm gonna ask you 5 questions,
Hmm.
okay? And you're gonna answer them in one word or a sentence.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah.
Marketing in one word.
Oh, I can think of two. Creativity.
Creativity. Favorite type of job? I know you do commercial, post-construction, biohazard. Which one's your favorite?
Short sentence. Dirtier the better.
The dirtier, the better. Biggest leadership lesson.
Be compassionate.
One mistake you'll never repeat.
Not having an accountant.
Honestly, that's a big one. One word that describes your journey.
Roller coaster.
Love it. Love it. Megan, thank you so much. I appreciate your time that you spent with us today. Your lessons, your journey is truly a journey that you're going to relate to many people out there, especially the younger people. And I truly, truly pray for the best in your life. You look like a very smart woman that is going to be able to really make a big impact in your community and in your family's life through all of your efforts. So I truly wish for the best for you, and anything you need, you can count on me and you can reach out to me and I would love to help.
Thank you. That's so kind. Thank you for your time.
All right. Bye.
If you got value out of this episode and you took some notes, That is fantastic. You're one step closer to success. Now do me a favor and share it with another cleaning business owner so that we can all learn together. My goal is to bring real stories from real cleaning business owners so that we can grow this industry together. So if you'd like that, please like and share, and I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next episode.